Brijesh, when do you expect the debate to happen?
Well, I think, in the next week there's a probability, because on Monday another very important ordinance is likely to come up for discussion, which is the Delhi government ordinance, and it's politically very important. But the line of the argument as far as the opposition is concerned is that, whenever any no confidence motion is submitted in the parliament, the first thing which has to be done is that you have to cancel everything, and apart after cancelling everything and every discussion, you have to first debate on this, and only after that you can carry on with the other functioning, which is like, the Prahlad Joshi is also the parliament minister, is saying that within 10 days that has to be done. So I guess if the government has to get it done, it has to be done in the next week. Sure.
Mr. Khuraijam ji, am I audible to you? Yes. So I was asking you what happened in Moreh, and do you think that this violence is happening because of, there was a report of 716 people who had crossed over from the Myanmar side? Is it an outside angle, or do you think that this violence in Moreh has happened because of the internal dynamics?
There seems to be, you must be aware of it, that there seems to be a continuous effort in the, especially in the Kuki-dominated hill areas, where certain Meitei inhabitant populations are there. So they have already successfully, evicted and wiped out the entire Meitei settlements from Churachandpur, 100%, from Kangpokpi, 100%, from the Saikul, 100%. So even from Moreh also, almost, I think they have been, wiped out. But with the structures remaining there, they have an apprehension that, Meitei might again come and, settle back in their own, place of origin. But in order to, give a blow or kind of, make a move in that part, they keep on taking advantage of any sort of situations, just to prove that every leader, every person who are, working at the forefront, they keep telling that every incident, every situation has to be justified for a demand for separate administration. So they keep telling, as you might have heard of it, that we are, physically separated, geographically separated, and now why don't we got separated legally? So in order to justify that, that argument, it seems like they have been trying to take chances for every bit of situation. Like the recent, violence that again erupted in Moreh. As per our report, you must also have the same report, that some of the, ladies are trying to enter the Meitei's property, and they were trying to loot some of the stuff. And when they have been apprehended by the security personnel, there was an, protest from the whole community. Then later on, it turned violent, and now they are targeting the entire establishment and properties and assets of the Meiteis again. So it seems like every bit of differences, or every bit of disagreement always turns out to be, on the same strategy of ethnically cleansing the Meitei settlements from all possible Kuki-dominated areas. So I think we should look in that line.
Do you think that the specific people have been targeted in Moreh specifically? It's like, yes, 1993?
Yes, in 1993, no, it's more or less like that, because after that very incident.
Okay. Welcome, Professor. This is the ground zero which
Sure.
I'm talking about. This is from Moreh. Look at the intensity of the violence. Look at the depth of it. This couldn't have been done by 10, 20 people. This has to be more than 100 people. This couldn't have been done without some sort of an organized plan. It's evident what has happened in Moreh is a complete intelligence failure.
Obviously. I mean, you can see that the security situation is deteriorating. One angle, of course, is there is an external hand. And that part has to be taken care of by the national security agencies in a far more stronger way. The other part is this logic of retaliation. Both the sides are behaving like exact mirror image of each other, which is most unfortunate. Though there is a kind of an asymmetric injustice that we can see in comparison between hill and the valley, we can see that hill people have suffered from a kind of relative deprivation historically. But violence doesn't justify the ways to mitigate that kind of asymmetry or any kind of systemic injustice. So what has happened in Moreh, also has another version which is heard, is that Manipur police commandos were there, and in and around Ilora Hotel, they were conducting certain raids and operations, which has scared a large number of people, large number of Kuki people, non-Meitei people. And then it was connected to some kinds of acts of firing where vigilantes were seen to be firing in a video clip that was widely circulated. So you can see that the angle of retaliation, angle of acting with a motive to harm the other side has been in operation. And this is what I have been saying, that the cycle of violence has set in Manipur. How do you bridge that cycle? How do you introduce greater impartiality through the state forces or through the central forces? That is what needs to be monitored. And there is no such supervision that is available, which is trustworthy, which can induce greater faith in the administration and the rule of law. And all these things seems to be bridged the way things are going, and the vigilantes have taken over the entire state, and therefore that's an outcome of all this in this kind of a gross scale of violence that you are showing in the case of Moreh. So similar such scenes are also witnessed elsewhere. Maybe in Meitei-dominated areas, also similar scenes came much before. So all this is repeating itself. And that repeat cycle of violence is something that we need to stop. That security
But
agencies
Prasanajit, they are not, Prasanajit, they are not destroying a house. They are not, I know I have been there, last election, I had come here, I went to Tamu, I came back, Someone told me, go across, go to Tamu, have some beer, come back, good food there in Baiba.
Right.
I said, as a reporter, I went there. And, and I went there for 20-25 kilometers, and then I said, ki main to bahut andar chala gaya. I was feeling very afraid for myself because it was a 20 kilometer thing, and I came back. I must have traveled 30 kilometers inside, no one stopped me. And then I came back. Then I came back to the Indian side. And
right.
you have Tamilians there who work as traders, it was an eye-opening thing for me. But now, to have this sort of a thing there, where you destroy the entire portion of the town, is very disturbing. It is like you have this fight in Delhi and the whole defense colony is attacked. I mean to say, you can have a C part of the defense colony where violence takes place on the B block. You can't have entire portion of it. I can see it. I walked, मैं यहाँ घूमा हूँ. I can understand it's the entire segment which has gone.
Yes, you are very right. That means there is a kind of a targeting which is orchestrated and organized. And it's part of that logic of retaliation. This will be built on a narrative whereby, a section of the same kind of people who are now attackers, their own kids and kin are attacked elsewhere in the same manner. So this is the logic of violence that is operating. Such violences are not to be condoned at all. And there is no resistance or no stoppage to these acts of violence. And this is something that is just reprehensible, that is uncondonable, inconsolable in the case of Manipur. The gory incidents that we have seen in other videos, the way vigilantes are using firearms, the way, the state system has literally broken down. All these actually contribute to this kind of a massive acts of violence that you can witness in the central part of Moreh town. But then the narrative also was there that Manipur police was conducting some raids and operations. So I don't know how exactly on the ground the actors and the factors, they collide, they confront, and such a situation, most unfortunate, and a whole colony is perished because of the acts of violence is uncondonable, I must say. Yeah.
Mr. Sadokam, what is this? let's call spade a spade. Are there outsiders involved, or this is a cookie hit back, or what has happened, or the police has gotten after some sort of retaliation has taken place against Meiteis?
Kartikeya, that's what I'm saying. The nature of violence has gone, the magnitude of destruction has gone beyond, the logic of what you call retaliation and other things. That's why you yourself said it's unbelievable that this violence of this magnitude, okay? And I think Athouba had also mentioned that similar kind of things is like when you talk of, I would rather use the notion of sanitization as in security force language. Ethnic cleansing looks a little bit, I don't know, for a choice of word. But for instance, if you see the entire Meitei population had been already sanitized out of, Moreh and also Churchandpur and Kangpokpi, okay? And there were not as if there were no Meitei populations there. Similarly, the Kuki populations in the valley, they have already more or less vanished because of the magnitude of violence. And you have yourself have visited certain areas which you can, I think, feel the dynamics. So it's like beyond description, the nature of violence. But as we say, when you allow this kind of a nature of violence to build layer upon layer, and all in the name of retaliation or in the name of the kind of animosity which has been triggered by certain kind of political projects at cross purposes. And I think this has to be stopped. But who is going to bail the cat? I mean, who actually is going to do the job of actually stopping this the kind of a carnage, the kind of violence that we see that we are inflicting upon each other, okay? So the first thing is that there are people who have actually offered short-term kind of measures and long-term measures, but if the two sides refuses to concede some of the kind of their own respective positions, I don't think there's going to be any headway, and I think the violence is there to go on for a while. But at this juncture, to talk of a kind of a bridging building a bridge between these two communities had been actually virtually impossible till now.